So, Odyssey of the Dragonlords, Session 8. Back after Session 3, I recorded my thoughts on accidental character death. We had an incident where lovely Anastasia was killed by an angry manticore after scoring an extreme critical hit on her. We use extreme critical hit cards, which is a crazy choice considering it's a character-driven campaign. And by character-driven campaign, I mean that literally Odyssey of the Dragonlords is written around the main characters that are the party. Everything that happens in the adventure references the characters, their backgrounds, the choices that they make, their destinies. So it's a campaign where character death is something you have to be very careful about. And critical hit cards might not be the best choice. However, they add a lot of excitement to the game, they add a lot of challenge to the game, a lot of unpredictability, a lot of spice. So we're using them. That being said, there is a character named Alexi. He is the Path of the Doomed One. And part of his destiny is that he's doomed. And the servants of this very mean Titan all seem to want to kill him because he radiates this aura of doomedness that kind of draws their attention. So when the party began to fight this large slime, known as the King of Slimes, the King of Slimes began burbling out in primordial, "Doomed one, I've come for you. I offer your soul to Lutheria." Very ominous. Obviously, this is who it's trying to kill. The party freaked out a little bit because he's big and scary, and they're still level 3, and he hits really hard. He critically hit their very powerful NPC ally, and they were shook up after that. Before the fight started, Philippa Cleese, the strong barbarian, he threw with his great strength Reset, who at the time only had 4 hit points left from a previous fight. She's safe over here. She's not in the fight. Philippa Cleese, he's beating this thing up. This thing is trying to kill Alexi, who is trapped inside its slime. It's a whole scene. I'm pretty sure Alexi's going to die. I'm okay with that. He has some secret superpower that brings him back to life on occasion. So, narratively, it was going to be pretty exciting. Out of nowhere, Reset uses her acrobatics to jump from pillar to slime and attack him. So she leaves the safety of this ledge, goes out of her way to avoid difficult terrain to get into melee with a huge melee boss monster. Now on Alexi's turn, he uses his rogue abilities to get away from the Slime King. The Slime King cannot hit Alexi, and so he hits Reset. He hits Reset critically. Reset died from massive damage. If you're unfamiliar with massive damage, if you take a certain amount of damage that puts you at a negative hit point total that would be equal to your positive hit point total, you die instantly. No death saves, no nothing, you're dead. He hit her that hard with a critical hit. And it was not because of a critical hit card, he just rolled really well. And that was the end of that. Reset was dead. That shook the party really hard. They were confused, they were disorganized, they were frustrated. Reset's player, obviously very upset. After the session, I tried to record my thoughts, and I couldn't really put them down right. I had to talk to Reset's player, and they explained to me that this is a roleplay-centric game, and they wanted to roleplay the character properly. So they followed the flaw that they had chosen. My gifts cause others to envy my success. I am convinced of the significance of my destiny and blind to my shortcomings and the risk of failure. So essentially, she didn't think about her actions and just went in there for the kill. She didn't think about her own safety. She was convinced that things were going to turn out okay. In other words, she died because that's what her character would do. And you hear this all the time. That's what my character would do. That's what my character would do. And it's almost a joke of like an excuse, like, oh, well, the reason I was a jerk is that's what my character would do. The reason I said something inappropriate is that's what my character would do. It's not always bad. In Rosette's case, she did want to save her allies. She did want to participate in the fight. She didn't want to sit on the sidelines. It's what her character would do. Sure. I've seen in 2nd edition, Paladin. He stood on the field of battle and held off a boulet so that the rest of the party could escape. It was incredibly heroic. The party said, "You're going to die." He said, "I know, but this is what my character would do." And it was epic. And he did die, but everyone else lived. I had a character myself that pissed off a bunch of halflings. Long story. And he ended up offering himself up in place of his allies. He died, his allies lived. At the end of the day, it's what that character would have done. Dismas White, a character from Paradise Vale, held off the Black Dragon Radicry for 8 rounds so that his allies could escape. He died doing what his character would do. Those are excellent examples of it's what my character would do. We don't need to talk about all the examples of that's what my character would do. They would burn down the orphanage. They would rob the other members in the party. They would do all these terrible things. Lots of people have covered that stuff. And one of the things they cover is it's a terrible excuse for being a bad teammate. Because at the end of the day, Dungeons & Dragons is a game about teamwork. If you wanted to play a game that was not about teamwork, there are so many fantastic role-playing games out there where you control the entire party, and your selfish and silly actions don't directly impact the fun that everyone else at the table is having. But in Dungeons & Dragons, there is a commitment, a silent agreement and commitment, at least at my table, that is made where you are in it together. I have run campaigns where every character was evil, and those parties were more successful than parties with allegedly good characters in them. Because a good person, an evil person, that doesn't matter. What matters is your ability to function as a team. That's what matters. Just like a person who says that's what my character would do when they rob the rest of the party needs to reevaluate. Would you, though? Would you rob the only people in the world that are probably decent to you? Like the people that you spend day and night with, that you travel all the time with, that you sleep next to, that have your back, that watch you while you sleep because night watch and that's what parties do. The people who would stand up for you when nobody else would, people that are closer to you than your family, people that have nearly died or died defending you and vice versa, those people, your character would really rob those people? Well, that's what my flaw says. That's what my character would do. People are more than a few lines written down on paper. Characters are people. There needs to be an evolution of those guidelines as you play. I don't fault Rosette for what she did, and I don't. It didn't cause a party wipe. It was dramatic. It was traumatic, and it was memorable. And fortunately for her, something in her backstory did allow her to come back to life after this messy and unfortunate mistake. What I'm excited to see, because I know that her player is a very skilled role player, is the incorporation of this traumatic event into those guidelines for roleplay. Is she going to be as blindly confident in her abilities? Is she going to be as arrogant about her skill as she used to be? Or is she going to, the next time an opportunity like this comes up, understand that she is a part of a team? That there is a big beefy boy here who can take those hits for her. There is a powerful wizard who can slow the creature down with frost spells. There is a clever rogue who can lead the creature around, etc., etc. Will she grow from this? Will she change? Will she become a more dynamic character? I hope so. I think so. And I'm very curious to find out. But I encourage anybody out there who ever decides to lean real hard into roleplay over tactics, which this is a role-playing game. This is not a tactical war game. This is a role-playing game. 5th edition is so far removed from being a tactical turn-based strategy game. I hope that roleplay is tempered by experience and self-preservation that the character has kind of learned from this experience. And I do look forward to seeing that development in play. If you have not heard of Odyssey of the Dragonlords, hopefully I didn't spoil too much for you, but it's a fantastic campaign. One of the best pre-written campaigns I've ever seen and had the pleasure to run. And I look forward to running many more episodes and seeing where these characters go.